Hi everyone, this is Dr. Matson. I just wanted to do a little introduction video and let you see who I am and get to know a little bit about me. I've been teaching in the colleges for about 13, 14 years. I started in early 2007 teaching GED classes, developmental reading, college study strategies. That was while I was working on my first master's. And then I moved over to psychology when I finished that, and I've been teaching in psychology and human services ever since. I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education. I have a master's degree in human services counseling. I have another master's degree in higher education administration, and I have a PhD in philosophy of general psychology. So I have spent a lot of time where you guys are right now, working, taking classes, and trying to balance everything that you have to do in life. I teach at a variety of colleges, both community colleges and four-year colleges or universities. I teach freshman, sophomore, junior, senior level for bachelor's. I teach master level classes sometimes, as well as PhD students. A few of the colleges I teach at are local to the Chicagoland area. I teach for Harper College, College Lake County, Elgin Community College, Triton, a couple of the city colleges. I've been at Roosevelt University for a few years. I teach at Purdue University Northwest, obviously National Louis, and I'm probably forgetting something along the way. But that's the Columbia College of Missouri. There's another one. That's the bulk of what I do is kind of bounce from one school to the next and teach a variety of things. I've taught almost every class that's offered in psychology. I teach like communities and organizations, research methods classes for human services, child welfare, human services ethics. Those are the few that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more. You can see there's a list of colleges and things that I've taught and my degrees that are published on the LMS site. So you can see a little bit about that. I have some experience working in the field as well, in the counseling field. The latest thing that I've done is crisis intervention. I stopped doing that a few months, probably about 6 months ago now, but I had done that for 6 years. I did it first through an agency, Family Service Association of Greater Elgin, and I did SAS for them. SAS stands for Screening, Assessment, Support Services. So I would go out on crisis calls and work with clients and try and get them to whatever it is that they need at the time. Get them to a safe place, basically. I did a lot of inpatient hospitalizations where I would have to find placement for the person. Mostly adolescents is who we worked with SAS. And when I switched over to Ecker Center, which is also located in Elgin, which is where I live, I did mostly adults with them, and I just worked out of one hospital for them. With SAS, we covered all of Kane and Kendall counties, so we would have to drive to the hospitals, sometimes people's homes, and then do the crisis assessment there. I've done assessments in police stations, schools. I've been to the IYC, the Illinois Youth Center, to do assessments. So I've worked with a variety of client types and issues that they have. A lot of suicidal ideations, sometimes suicidal attempts, sometimes with kids just behavior problems that they're having. So it's always kind of a surprise, when you go on a call to see what it is that you're dealing with. A few homicidal tendencies from some clients. A lot of drug use, substance abuse. So it's just, like I said, you never know what it is that you're going to run into with some of these crisis calls. But, my main objective would be to make sure that the client was safe, that they're not going to harm themselves or they're not going to harm somebody else. If I felt they were safe, then they could be released and go home. Otherwise, I'd find them an inpatient hospitalization. And then on occasion, too, we would send people for like a day treatment hospitalization. And so with that, they would go to the hospital during the day, kind of like during school hours, 8 to 2, 9 to 3, something like that. And then they could go home at night and they go back to the hospital the next day. So there's some programs out there for that as well. Some of the kids lived in group home settings. So we'd have to, work with the staff on making sure that they remain safe if they went back to the group home. And let's see what else. I did prior to SAS. I did. I worked for Larkin Center. Larkin Center has since shut down, and I supervised a boys' group home. And so most of my kids were ages like 9 or 10 to maybe 15. Were the boys that I worked with. I didn't have a whole lot of interaction with the kids because I was the supervisor of the home, so I worked very closely with the assistant supervisor as well as the mental health staff. So I did that for a couple years as well. And then I left there about a year or so before Larkin Center closed. So budgeting and constraints is typically the reason for closures like that. So I've been in mental health for the field for a long time. I did a little bit of developmental therapy with kids age 0 to 3. I did some individual counseling, couples counseling, that type of thing along the way as well. But teaching is primarily my thing, which is why I do so much of it, and why I, have done this more than the field, than the practice in the field. But I got to tell you, working in the field has given me a lot of great situations and stories to share with my students, to kind of give them a taste of what it's like to be in the field. So burnout is something that happens often in this field. If you're going to work in this field, anything psychology, social work, anything therapy based like that, caseworkers, there's not enough of us, and so it's difficult to keep people on staff. When I did SAS, I was on call at night, and so sometimes I'd get called at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you have to get out of bed and go wherever the crisis is taking place. Most of the time, like I said, a hospital, but sometimes people's homes. So it's an interesting job to have, but very rewarding to be able to help people in their moment of need and get them hopefully on the right track to services that's going to make them feel better and do better in life. So let me tell you a couple things about teaching. So I am pretty flexible, pretty easygoing, pretty laid back. It's just kind of my overall personality traits in life. The one thing that I am a bit of a stickler about is late work. That's my biggest pet peeve when it comes to students turning in work late. I am pretty quick to grade. I'll get you guys turn everything in on Sunday nights, and I'll get everything in, graded within that next week. And then, the end of the semester comes, and it's like this person wants to turn something in late, and that person wants to turn something in late, and it just makes it very difficult to keep up with everything. So late work, I would say, is my biggest, pet peeve here, my biggest stickler. So just to give you a little sense of who I am and what I'm about and what my experience is. I also have a son. He's 20 right now. He'll be 21 next year, or 21 in 2021. So I have a couple dogs. I have Buddy, who's a boxer mix, mixed with I don't know what. We actually did like the gene test to find out what he is. So hopefully we'll get that back in a few days and get a little bit more of his history. And then I have a beagle too. So his name is Jake. He's about 8 years old, and Buddy is my 2-year-old boxer mix. So that's a little bit about me and kind of what my history is and what I've done. So feel free to reach out with questions along the way. You guys all have my cell phone number, as well as email. I ask if you text me. I don't mind students texting me, but please, I ask, do not text me in the middle of the night. It doesn't happen often, but on occasion I have students that like to send me messages in the middle of the night. That's not a good way to get a response. So I try and keep it before 10 o'clock at night and not before 7 o'clock in the morning. And then I ask if you text me, if you could just let me know what class you're taking, what school you're from. That helps me get a sense of whom I'm speaking to. It helps if you include your name too. But don't hesitate to call me, text me. If you call me, I don't answer, leave a voicemail, I'll call you back, or send me a text and say, hey, this is me calling. Sometimes we get these robocalls and spam calls, so it's difficult to know who's calling. So reach out. as much as you need. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. I want you to be successful, and I want to do whatever I can to make that happen along the way. So I hope you guys have a great semester, and I will be in touch. I'll send out more videos and things throughout the semester to check in and show you some things in your class so that you get a sense of what your requirements are throughout the semester and where to find things. Other than that, I hope you have a great term. We'll talk soon again. Bye-bye.